Hey, what up, boys? It's your BROfessional here, and today we're going to be looking at the Kraber-AP sniper rifle. I always want to say Kraber, but that's alright. Today we're going to be looking at this beastly gun to see how effective it can or cannot be in the game of Titanfall, so let's jump right in, shall we? So let me start us off by saying that this gun is an absolute beast. Let's take a look at the SimThick stats on this gun. As you can see right off the bat, it does 500 damage, does not drop off at any range. If you remember from my last video, I talked about how pilots have 200 health in this game, so that means the Kraber does enough damage to kill 2.5 pilots with one bullet. Now why you'd ever need to do that much damage is beyond me, but either way, it's awesome. I think the devs may have given it this much damage to maybe negate any negative multipliers you get by hitting pilots in the legs and arms, so that way it will always get that one-shot kill no matter where you hit a pilot, which is definitely the case. I've never once gotten the hit marker on a pilot using this gun. If you hit, you get the kill, which is definitely nice. Now moving on to the other stats, the Kraber reloads in 2.5 seconds as long as you're not completely empty, which is not bad at all. That's actually faster than the longbow DMR sniper rifle, and even the long reload time of 3.61 seconds is still shorter than the longbow. And I find that pretty interesting because when you use this gun, it looks and feels massive, which would usually imply a long reload time, but it's actually faster than the smaller, lighter DMR in this game. Next, as you can see, the Kraber has 5 bullets per mag unless you have the quote-unquote extended mag, which only adds 1 bullet to bring it to a total of 6. Then on the far right, you can see the accuracy on the Kraber is very good, but that makes sense because this is a sniper rifle. The 111 rounds per minute is very interesting, but not useful in calculating damage per second because it does 500 damage every time you pull the trigger, and that's really all you'll ever need to know. Now in most of this gameplay that I'll be showing in this review, I'm not trying to quickscope or no-scope every single person I see, and that's because I'm not trying to be the best looking player out there. I'm trying to get the most kills and help my team win, and I guess you could argue that this weapon in general isn't the best for that, and I would actually agree with you to some extent. Can you quickscope with this gun? Can you no-scope with this gun? Yes, but I would much rather have any of the other sidearms out when fighting in these close ranges versus trying to get lucky with a no-scope or trying to train myself on how to get better and better at quickscoping. It's just not worth it to me. As you can see from these clips, it's very easy to miss when trying to quickscope and no-scope. However, if you want to get better at quickscoping, I would recommend doing this right here. Get your Kraber out, pick your favorite optic, and just scope at some reference point a bunch of times really quickly to see where the reticle starts and where it ends up. Practice makes perfect. Now there are just a couple more clips of me getting kills with no-scopes and quickscopes, and then we go back to hard scoping, and I think that's definitely the most effective way to use this gun in Titanfall. Now the problem is actually hitting pilots even with a scope. Most of my kills with the Kraber come from unsuspecting pilots that aren't moving at all or that are moving very slowly. Hitting pilots that are free running or that are coming down from ejecting from their Titan is very difficult. This comes from the noticeable delay between when you pull the trigger and when the bullet actually lands. This means the bullet velocity is much slower than the other primary weapons, and it definitely takes some practice and getting used to. In order to use this weapon really effectively, you have to pretty consistently have high ground advantages and be able to stay in one place for a long time, which in the game of Titanfall is actually pretty hard to do. But now let's move on and talk about optics. The standard 6x scope that comes with the gun is awful. I really hate it. And that might be personal preference, but I like the AOG scope because it allows you to be able to see around the scope without creating that tunnel vision effect, and you'll see that come in handy later on. Now there's also a 4.5x sight, but that also blocks out your view around the scope. So overall I prefer the AOG, and in order to unlock it, all you have to do is kill 5 grunts, so you can easily do that in one match, and if you're like me, I find the optic I like, and then I stick with it. Speaking of sniper rifles, check out the range on this RE45 auto pistol, just beastly. It's another reason why I love the SimThick stats, because without looking at them you might think that sidearms do barely any damage at these longer ranges, but SimThick charts prove that once a weapon hits its lower damage model, it does that damage for as far as you can see, but I digress. So right here I get one sniper kill, then I'm checking for any other pilots there across the map, and watch just to the left of my screen there. I see another pilot climb up onto the roof, and that's why the AOG is the best optic to me. With either of the other scopes I wouldn't have been able to see him because the area surrounding those is completely blacked out, and I feel like the AOG has plenty of zoom even for those really long range sniper battles, so it's definitely my go-to optic for the Kraber. As I said before though, a lot of these kills are coming from me staying in just one position, and the pilots I'm shooting at are not moving a whole lot. The pilot could have easily gotten the jump on me here by running up the wall, and while the Kraber is an awesome gun and does a ton of damage, in most situations I would rather have a weapon that has a higher bullet velocity so that I don't have to leave my targets as much, so that I can stay mobile and run around the map, which is very important in Titanfall. One very effective way to use the Kraber is to start off a match with it just like I am here, because when the match first starts you know exactly where your enemies are spawning and coming from, which means your back will be protected. But after that there's no telling where pilots are coming from, which is why it's always better to keep moving in Titanfall versus just staying in one spot. A lot of this footage was captured right after a match had just started, and then if I die once a game is underway, I'll usually just switch over to an assault rifle. But with all that being said, the Kraber is definitely a fun gun to play with. Will it win you the most games and get you the highest kill-death ratio? Probably not. But once you unlock it at level 44, definitely give it a try. See if you can get good with it because it really is a very fun weapon to use. And it's super gratifying to get those one-hit kills every single time. Trust me, I'm a BROfessional.